Yes, This song is called Be the Change, inspired by the words of Mahatma Gandhi, who lived for peace and not violence, and told us to be the change we wish to see in the world.
Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon. Oh boy, this is, we are recording this on May 13th, 2013. And, wow, you know, I've been giving a weather report every week, Ramon. You know, I had such a wonderful, it was like 2 weeks of really gorgeous weather. You know, today I was, the energy was interesting. I felt the energy kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It was like a building of an energy, and maybe it was like I was sensing the barometric pressure or something, but that doesn't make sense because it drops when the rain comes in. But this afternoon, after I got home, I was sitting here going over some things on the computer, and the sky opened and it dropped buckets and buckets and buckets of water. I had water running off my roof so fast it was going right over the top of the gutters. And yeah, I think it's the hardest I've ever seen it rain here in Western Washington in all the time I've lived here. So it only lasted for about 5 minutes, but wow is all I can say about it. And then within 5 minutes after that, the sky started clearing and the blue came in.
Oh, that's always nice.
Yeah, so there's definitely there was something behind this. I felt an energy behind it, so I'll leave it at that, you know. I don't know. I don't know. You don't
want to make a crazy conspiracy?
No, I won't do that. Yeah, well, it was HARP, and it was chemtrails, and it was whatever else, you know. Oh, I don't know. So, Ramon, how you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. Let's see, I went to the series disclosure trailer screening over at a place in Roppongi called Pink Cow. And last time I have the correct guy said Fat Cow, and it's Fat Cow's our web host.
Well, yeah, I heard you say Fat Cow, and I was like, okay, well, maybe there's some place there in Japan called Fat Cow.
Yeah, you should have mentioned it. Yeah, no, it's Pink Cow, and that was really fun. A lot of people went, around 75 people, probably a little more than that. I didn't sit there and count. Greg Sullivan was there, so it was really nice to see him. He's been running around.
Did you get a chance to chat with him, or?
Yeah, we sat down at the table and chat a little bit, but we were being approached by people, so it was kind of hard to sit down and chat. But yeah, he's been running around.
Oh. Uh-oh. Did I lose you, Ramon? Earth to Ramon. Well, it looks like I have let Ramon drop off here. Are you back?
I'm here. I never went anywhere.
You cut out.
Oh, I did?
Yeah.
You cut me out.
Yeah, it wasn't my fault.
What was the last thing you heard?
You guys were being approached by a lot of people. It was kind of hard to talk.
Oh yeah, I was saying that he's been going. He went to Osaka and different places showing the film, and he's been getting a really good response. So that's really good.
So the whole awareness there in Japan, do you see it raising more in the last year probably than you have in the past as far as the level of consciousness there and what people are becoming aware of or and becoming interested in?
I would say yes and no. Well, more yes than no. It's still. I think the history here has, the culture here has a very deep, esoteric culture to it, but it's not something you just start talking about at a bar, which I think would be easier in the States in that sense. Um, but if you catch people by themselves, a lot of people have experienced many things. The ghost phenomena is really big here, and many people have seen UFOs and experienced, lots of different things. So people are open to it, just not open enough to talk publicly about it.
Hmm. Yeah, that they're definitely pretty reserved from at least what they show us in the media. Pretty reserved people. So.
Yeah, I was telling my wife the other day that it's the only culture I know that actually has good stereotypes.
Has good
But
what? Good what?
stereotypes.
Oh, stereotypes.
Yeah, like
And to live up to their stereotype, you mean?
I wouldn't say that. I would just say that they, because not everyone lives up to the stereotype. It's a stereotype for a reason. But yeah, like a lot of people, it's a very deep spiritual culture. But again, a lot of people would want to.
Oh, there you go again.
What happened?
I don't know. You cut out again for just a minute there. So, okay, well, let's move forward here.
Yeah.
So, you guys can find us at www.thehundredthmonkeyradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, YouTube, and all those good places. And, let's see, besides that, anything you've done in the news or anything here recently, Ramon, or...
No.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and get into our guest tonight. She is a returning guest. We had her on back in August of 2011, I believe. We have Sherri Cortland with us again tonight. Sherri is she's a spiritual growth accelerator and is secretary to spirit. Through automatic writing, Sherri Cortland channels and shares information communicated by her guide groups in her books and workshops with the express intention of providing tools that you can use to expedite your spiritual growth and complete your quote-unquote to-do list for this incarnation with less drama and pain, and increase your vibrational level and positive energy output to make completion of the shift easier for everyone and for our planet. Welcome back to the 100th Monkey Radio, Sherri.
Thank you, Tom. Hi, Ramon.
That would be a...
Hello. Yeah, sorry.
Can you hear me or no?
Yeah,
I hear
you're doing great.
My mic was muted, so I was like scrambling to get unmuted.
Oh, so Sherri, it's been a couple of years since you've been on the show, and we see that you've been busy. You have another book out, and that is awesome. Let's see, this one is your spiritual toolbox.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the new book, and then we'll get into some other stuff.
Well, the new book is, in a way, a continuation of the first two books in that I'm still on my search for who we are and why we're here. I'm looking for the truth of that. That's what got me started doing automatic writing in the beginning. And so the first chapters, the first section is very much that. and then also I put together, not only my guide group is part of this, but also several metaphysical professionals, different psychic mediums, crystal experts, authors, who all came together with their own meditations and exercises to help folks move forward spiritually, and also to help us develop direct communication with spirit.
Oh, so this is basically exactly what the title says. It's a spiritual toolbox. It's packed full of different methods and ways that to do those things that we need to do as we're growing spiritually.
Exactly, exactly. You know, going to a psychic medium is great, and I do it and look forward to doing it, and I've got many, many psychic medium friends, but what happens when your tarot card reader isn't around or your medium isn't around? Wouldn't it be great to be able to have direct communication with spirit? And that's something that I enjoyed through automatic writing, although there are other ways to do it. And I just wanted to pull together as many options as possible for folks so that they could enjoy that direct communication with spirit too. That's one of my main purposes for writing this book.
That's awesome. You know, there are so many different ways to get that communication going, and I've always believed personally that none of those things are actually necessary, but the ritual behind them instill within us a increased level of belief, which will help to facilitate that magic to happen.
I agree with you 100%. I think too that the ritual helps us kind of focus and maybe even relax a little bit into it. But you do not need to pick up a pen and paper to do automatic writing to communicate with spirit at all. I think the reason that I still do automatic writing is because then I've got a complete message. I mean, it's completely written out, everything that I've had as far as the interaction with my guide groups, and that makes it much easier down the road if you're writing a book to just go back and reread it instead of scrambling to try and remember later on.
Right, right. Oh, don't get me wrong. Some of these methods are absolutely fantastic, and I use quite a few of my own personal methods for and rituals to make that connection. So, you know, and I am just so impressed and pleased with the way our society is finally turning its head towards spirituality, towards asking those questions and needing things like a spiritual toolbox.
Yeah, it's just, I think that it's time, you know, in a way, since I'm on this particular show, it is like the 100th monkey phenomenon in a way, because maybe we're very, very close to that 100th monkey, where talking about things like having a conversation with your higher self or your spirit guide or meditating, maybe those things are about to become commonplace throughout our entire culture. At least I hope so in our lifetime.
I would love to see it in the schools. I would love to see something in the schools teaching, you know, I mean, because it's completely shut out, and it's such, it's who and what we are.
I know. I can't tell you how often I've said, I wish that I knew about this when I was so much younger, because my life would have been very, very different had I realized that these things were available, that, you know, you're not crazy because you think about them, and just the way that our lives could go if we had this information.
Right, right. So for our listeners that haven't listened to the last interview that we did, or not familiar with you, would you give us a quick background? How did you get started? How did the automatic writing get going for you?
You know, it really started back in the 1980s. I was reading a lot of Ruth Montgomery and also Shirley MacLaine. And Ruth Montgomery, she channeled her guide Lily, and she sat down at her kitchen table, and she had her little typewriter back then, and all this great information would come through, and then she took that information and she made it into several books, which is great. But I thought that it was very cool that she could sit down at that kitchen table and talk with spirit. And as much as I loved her books, I didn't like waiting for each new book to come out. And I wanted to have direct communication with spirit myself. So that's what got me started. And so what I did was I grabbed pen and paper and I sat down at my kitchen table and I did that every day for 3 months. And guess what happened during that time?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing happened. And at the same time, too, I was taking some psychic development classes. And one night in class, the teacher, Cindy, said, tonight we're going to do automatic writing. And I started laughing, and my big mouth, you can't shut me up. And I said, oh, automatic writing, that will never happen for me. And as the me was coming out of my mouth, I could feel something grab my arm. I didn't realize it was spirit at that moment. And the next thing I knew, I was drawing the most beautiful circles and scribbles that you've ever seen in your life. So that was like my first connection.
I mean, what's that sensation feel like? I mean, you said it's like something was grabbing your arm. I'm always curious about what the actual sensation is, just so that I can compare it to what I've experienced.
Yeah, that first time, it was a little bit abrupt. I wasn't expecting it, so it was a surprise. And then having read about Ruth Montgomery doing it, I just read it. I didn't have the experience, so I had no idea what it was going to feel like. And the teacher didn't start to teach the class yet, so I didn't have any information from her, so I really didn't know what to expect. And so it was kind of an abrupt thing, and it didn't hurt or anything, but I could feel a definite pressure. Then as I moved along with the automatic writing and started to write with different guides, I could actually tell who was coming in to write with me by the different amount of pressure that was in my hand. Jeremy, felt one way. When Alexio Porath came in, I broke pencils from the pressure that he applied. So just different kinds of pressure, but that's it. And I hear it in my head. I hear the words in my head. I don't hear them in another voice. I hear them in my own voice. And at the same time that I'm hearing it, if I'm doing it with pen and paper, my hand is being kind of pushed across the paper. If I'm typing, they just kind of take over my hands. But I'm fully conscious, 100% conscious. And that's the other thing I like about automatic writing is that it's very easy to stop it and ask questions, so that it's very much a back and forth conversation, like being in a chat room or doing instant messaging.
I always wonder with people who write, for example, science fiction, like Gene Roddenberry, for example, with the Star Trek. I wonder if when they would write these stories, would it be more of automatic writing? Because if you ask them, like, where did that idea come from, they would usually tell you, I don't know.
Yeah, I've thought a lot about that, Ramon. It's funny that you should bring that up because, what do they call it? The universal consciousness? I think that's something that we can all tap into, but maybe folks like Gene Roddenberry, maybe Leonardo da Vinci, maybe Albert Einstein, just for example, maybe they were able just to tap into it a little bit more, or maybe they weren't afraid of tapping into it. They weren't afraid of the information that they were getting. But I think all of that information is out there. And, you and I have talked about this a little bit earlier. A lot of the stuff that we saw in those old Star Trek episodes is really coming to be right now in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
I mean, is anything really invented, or are we just pulling that information and whoever gets there first is the inventor?
It's funny you say that, because somebody was telling me about Tom, what's it called, those earphones? Well, they're not earphones, but you put them on your skin and you can hear from
the neurophone.
Neurophone. Yeah, so it's this device that was invented back 70s or 80s, was it?
I think it was 70s, yeah.
Where you can apply it onto your skin or around your nervous system and you can hear it. in your head, almost like your own thought.
Wow.
And it's an old technology. And one of my students was saying, "Oh yeah, they recently came out, with these neurophones." And I was like, "That is really, really old." It's
Somebody already thought of that.
yeah. And I was like, it's to the point where I have the blueprint of it. And he's like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's old."
Hmm.
But yeah, so there's many. The other amazing thing, not to get off the topic of automatic writing, but is how you would have an idea and you would write it down or invent something, and then somebody across the world would do the same thing, and then you guys would be in arguments who's plagiarizing who.
Exactly, exactly. Who was it who worked on electricity? It was Tesla and who else?
Edison.
Edison. And who ended up, which way did we go with it? Really, Edison got all the credit for it, but both of them were working on the same thing at the same time, and I think that's the perfect example of what we're talking about, Somehow they were connected into that universal consciousness. It was just time for that information to come to us, and it went out to the masses, and whoever tapped in was able to bring it to us.
Yeah, I don't think I know quite a bit about Tesla and Edison. That's probably not the best example to use for that, but I get your point there.
Talk about a better one. That's just one that came to mind.
Well, how about the airplane? I
Yeah.
mean, they were flying airplanes over in, where was it, France?
No, it was New Zealand. The guy supposedly either sometime that same week, either before or after, no one really knows for sure, flew a plane at the same time as the Wright brothers.
I didn't know that.
But the Wright brothers obviously made the news faster, and so history's not sure what was the exact date.
Yeah,
but there was a plane flight.
Yeah, on a lot of those big items like that, history's written by the victor's scenario kind of kicks in, or by the media.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're taking the words right out of my mouth. That's what I was going to say. History is written by the victor.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So going back to the automatic writing, and I know I'm only.
You're cutting out, Ramon.
Why is it every time I'm talking I'm cutting out? I think you're doing that on purpose.
I am not. I have no control over your mute button.
Yeah, I'm not muting. How do I sound? Do I sound good now? So we had a bit of snafu there. So I was gonna say about the automatic writing that I'm sure this question comes up in people's heads, and unfortunately with humans, the first thing that usually comes up is always the fear. So how do you know that who you're connecting with has your best interest in mind?
Well, that's an excellent question, and you're right. It does come up quite a bit. Mostly what comes up, though, is how do you know you're not making it up? In the beginning, I definitely wanted to start to do automatic writing. There's no doubt about that. I had the desire to do that, but I was quite shocked when it actually happened for me. And in the beginning, I just got circles and scribbles and stuff like that. And then I went back to my teacher and I said, hey, these scribbles are cool, but I'm really looking for words. And, what do I need to do? And she said, very, very interesting words. Have you asked who is trying to connect with you? And I said, no, I have not done that. And so I wrote out the words, who is this? And then the name Jeremy came through. And I later learned that he's my main guide for this incarnation. So then I asked, what is our connection together? And that's something that I've learned to do each and every time that a new guide has come through or a new entity has come through. Who are you, and what is our connection, and what is the purpose of your visiting me? What are we supposed to do here? Everything that I have gotten has been, other than personal stuff, has been information to share about moving forward, how to decrease negative energy, how to increase positive energy, how to help people move forward spiritually. So I think that because the messages that I'm getting are good, I'm not hearing go out and shoot somebody. no one is telling me to go and do that kind of thing. I feel that everything that I'm getting is from the light. I think it also comes back to who you are. If you're a person of the light, then that's what you're going to attract. I don't really think that dark energy would be able to get through to me. If it did, I don't think that it would be able to stay very long, because I also do a prayer of protection before I do automatic writing, before each time I start it, just to make sure that my door is only open for entities with the highest intentions. Does that make sense?
Yes, completely.
Yeah, we do. We always do a clearing before every show or recording, and we think we both feel that that's a very important step in dealing with, especially as young as we are right now in our social consciousness. As young as we are, we need to make sure that we're not being misled. I mean, it's,
yeah. And a way to do that too is to ask questions, just to continually ask questions. I had someone write to me not that long ago. She read both of the first two books that are out already, and she wanted to start to do automatic writing too. And she said that she felt like there was somebody else that was just kind of hanging around her. And so we talked about how to do a clearing and how to get rid of that so that she could move forward. So, I mean, I know that it's possible for imposters to come through, but I think that once you do that clearing and you do a little protection type of thing, that you're pretty much good to go. But of course, if somebody is telling you to go out and do things like shoot somebody, then you should absolutely shut them down.
Right.
I've never had that experience.
Have you had a chance to be either in the dream state or in the waking state, be able to see any of your
need any of your guides? You're cutting out again, Ramon. I wonder if it's our connection, because you're not dropping out, or if it's something to do with your computer there. All right, guys, we had a little bit of a connection issue here, but we are back, and Sherri is going to continue her answer on whether or not she's ever seen her guides in either physical or astral or any of those forms.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't like to be surprised. I am a ghost hunter. I love to go hunting for ghosts. Whatever city I go to, I drag my husband on all those ghost hunting things. But if a ghost popped up in front of me, all I would do is scream, okay? So when it comes to seeing my guides, let me say that I can absolutely feel them, but I have told them all, do not ever just appear in front of me. If that's something that you want to do, then give me warning first so that I can be sitting there waiting for you. I do not want anybody to just jump up and see me. Now, in my dreams, I'll tell you this story. It was when Windows of Opportunity had just come out. It just came out. That was my first book. And I had this dream about some guy named Gilbert. And it seemed like Gilbert and I were very, very close. I don't know, maybe romantically involved. I mean, there was that kind of vibe to it. And the next day, when I was doing automatic writing and I was talking to my guy, Jeremy, I said, oh my gosh, I had this dream last night about some guy named Gilbert. And Jeremy came back and said, well, Gilbert is a very close friend of yours, and you're going to be working on the next book with Gilbert. Gilbert and you go back, eons, many, many lifetimes. And I thought, I'm not writing another book. I don't know what you're talking about. And I forgot all about that. But this is the thing why I like automatic writing. I saved that little interaction between Jeremy and I. I stuck it in a file called Second Book and forgot all about it. And then I started to do the automatic writing for the second book, and all of a sudden this guy Gilbert came in, and I got to tell you, I did not even remember. I didn't remember the dream. I didn't remember talking to Jeremy about it. Maybe I'm getting old. I'm in my 50s. What can I say? And then I found that little snippet, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. So in a way, I guess I did see one of them in a dream, but mostly I just feel them. I feel them around me because they would spook me if they just popped up.
I've had I would say the experience of I don't know if it was a guide or who it was exactly, but I think I was 19 and I was in bed and one did pop up. I don't know who that person was, but it was a little boy dressed in like 1800s school clothes kind of thing.
Oh, you think it was a guide or just a ghost?
I don't think it was a ghost,
Okay.
but it just popped out of the curtains and then blended right back into the curtains.
How did you feel when that happened?
There was no fear. There was, of course, surprise and like, am I
Yeah.
still dreaming kind of thing. But I was sitting up in bed and you know, I got out of bed right away to tell my mom. But I knew I wasn't dreaming.
Yeah. When my grandmother first passed over, she would come to visit and she would touch me and she would kind of like take her hand and just kind of make it come across my face like just just a hi, how are you, with that little face rub kind of thing. And finally, I don't know, maybe the fifth or sixth time, I just sat up in bed and screamed, Grandma, please stop it, please stop it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I don't like to be touched. What can I say?
I've had a few of those double take incidences where I'll see something and then look and then go what see something as I'm glancing past, and then it registers that there's something there, and then I'll shoot my head back and it's gone. Like I had one just actually a couple of months ago at the shop where I work. It was early in the morning, at 5 o'clock in the morning. I was unlocking the gates and walking through the parking lot behind the building, and as I glanced across one area, and it looked like there was somebody working on the front of a vehicle, and I was like, looked right back at it, and they were gone. So.
Wow. Wow. I had a
Yeah.
little something happen to me at my mother's house. Do we have a minute for me to share that
Sure,
or no?
absolutely.
Yeah? Okay. You got onto a subject that I love, which is ghosts. I was visiting my mother in Middletown, New York, and she put me in the downstairs bedroom. Now, my sisters and I, we've always known that that house was haunted. Our mother, she always poo-pooed it. We figured she just didn't want to face it, but we always knew that it was haunted. Well, I'm downstairs, I'm in bed, and all of a sudden something pulls all of the blankets off of me from the bottom of the bed.
Wow.
So, of course, I screamed, and then there was no sleeping for the rest of that night. I got myself together. The next night, I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to face this head on. I'm going to erect a shield of light around this bed so that this is not going to happen again. So I think that I'm very cool and very smart for doing this, right? So on the side of the bed is a little stand, and I had my suitcase on that stand. Well, whatever ghost that was not happy about the little wall of light that I put up around me and completely knocked the suitcase off.
Hmm.
So that was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I needed to leave at 6 a.m. anyway to catch my plane. So I decided, that's it, I'm going now.
Yeah, what's 3 hours in the airport?
Yeah, what's 3 hours in the airport or sitting there with a ghost that definitely is not happy with you at the moment.
We lived in a house when I was a kid. Oh, geez, I guess I was early teens, like 13, something like that. Anyways, this house had lots of creaks and knocks. So we get the rapping on the ceiling and in the walls, and and that sort of thing. And that was everybody in the family was acknowledged that place was haunted, and but yeah, interesting place to live.
Oh, how many years did you live there?
Just one.
Just one?
Just one. Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder why just one.
See, I love guides, but I don't particularly care to live with ghosts.
Yeah, it depends because I've heard some positive stories of when people who are more sensitive and you get to know the ghost and the behavior is different. But then there's of course the more well known, which is the
Poltergeist like type thing.
yeah. Because
Yeah.
I had one experience as well when I was I think I was in, I can't remember, 15 or 16, and I was watching a scary movie, and I don't know if it was just my imagination getting the best of me because I was watching a scary movie around 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, well.
Yeah, right. and I swore I kept hearing the microwave, like someone was pressing the buttons on the microwave and going on and then turning off, and that consistently happening.
Did you go and check it out?
No, I just turned up.
He had the blankets up over his head.
No, I was in the living room. I turned off the TV and went straight to bed and just then covered the blankets over my head.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't? Who wouldn't do that?
I remember a few nights back when I was a kid pulling the blankets up over my head. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a common thing.
So let's get back to the topic here. We kind of sidelined. Actually, that's part of it too, because they're spirits also. Well, let's. I was going to run away from that, but now I'm running right back to it. So what are ghosts? I mean, there's a lot of different, to me, from what I understand, there's a lot of different situations that these spirits are in that we call ghosts.
Yeah.
There's like the residual hauntings that seem to be like where they repeat a scene over and over and over again.
Like an energy thing where the energy is so strong that it just keeps happening over and over.
Yeah, that one, it's almost like to me it feels like there maybe is not actually a spirit there. That it is just the energy, kind of the imprint of the energy that is echoing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. But I know, because I've had enough incidences and contact, and so have you guys. There are spirits that are around. There's no doubt about it. Right. And are they stuck here? Why are they here? They feel like they have unfinished business. How do you help them finish that business? There are people that do that. Isn't that what James Van Praagh does?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
exactly.
Sure yeah, which is such a wonderful, wonderful thing to do. I don't have what it takes to do that. I have to be perfectly honest. The thought of ghosts around me, I just don't like it. I just don't relish it. But I do want to help them go to the light. And whenever I have come face to face with what I believe is a spirit, I do my best to try to help them get to the light. And one of the things that I asked early on when I first started to communicate with spirit was, why are you leaving these poor entities, these poor souls stuck here? How about no soul left behind? Why are we forcing them? And what about reincarnation? If they're stuck here, how can they move on and continue to grow? And what my guide said was that they try to give the spirit that's kind of doesn't want to move on yet time to get used to what's going on. But then if they don't decide to come home or go into the light, if you want to use that term, they will send somebody to get them. So that made me feel better to know that they wouldn't be here forever and ever, stuck in between dimensions.
Right. Yeah, I can see how a loop could get created in there, just kind of stuck going around in circles. And
yeah, that would be an awful thing. And I mean, for a soul to be trapped that way.
Right.
Yeah,
So go.
sorry, Tom. The other thing I keep hearing is, and I believe this is true, um, is that people who start doing meditation and becoming more sensitive, you start attracting them because they're just attracted to your light. They're like, wait, someone can sense me, or someone can see me or hear me, and you start getting more attraction from them because just imagine if normally no one can hear you and this person can, or your attention is going to go to them. So
Absolutely.
there's nothing worse than being ignored.
Yeah. If I was stuck in between and I could sense that somebody could see me or hear me or could possibly help me, I would rush to that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both James Von Prague and John Edwards, those two big names, anyways. I've heard them both speak on that. It's like there's times where they're kind of overwhelmed with all the different spirits that are there. But a lot of those are coming back from or trying to communicate from, not from the ghost state.
No, but from the fourth dimension.
Right.
Basically from the other side of the veil.
Right.
Yeah. See what those guys do. I mean, it takes up every living, breathing moment that they have. You can't ignore that kind of thing. It really takes over your whole life, and I just give them so much credit for what they do. They're so dedicated.
Yeah, there's we've actually interviewed several people who have the ability to see disincarnated spirits, the ghosts on this planet, and they don't actually deal with them in the same capacity that like the Von Pragues and the John Edwards do, but.
Oh, so you can choose your level of involvement?
Yeah, and it's kind of broadcast out. I think your energy broadcasts it out in some form or fashion. And those guys are open to it. They're open and willing to do that work. So that energy, I'm sure that signal is put out in their energy field too. So.
And I'm so happy. I'm so happy that they are. That's such an important thing.
I think it's also in your aura, because the same thing I hear with people who've been contacted by non-locals or extraterrestrial, that once you get contact by one, they're like, okay, this person is cool, so everybody just wants to contact you. So I think it's the same thing with the ghosts and the extraterrestrial. Not that I'm saying they're in the same level, but just that something in your aura. Have you ever asked them your guides questions about what we're talking about specifically?
About ghosts? Not really.
Not only ghosts, but just why is it that they know? Is it something in your aura or your energy field?
No, I never have. The only question I ever asked them was, why don't you come and get these guys so that they're not stuck? That was the only thing that I was concerned about at that time. But now, maybe the next time that I go to talk with my guides, I will ask them a little bit more.
Yeah, because I wonder, because the reason why I'm asking is I had a dream once, and it was this beautiful, beautiful woman in the dream, and she was in the dream, she was an alien, and she was saying how, like, humans have a certain type of marker in their, I don't know if it was their aura or in the forehead.
Energy field of some form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, maybe even in the DNA makeup, don't you think?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, I've heard that from many contactees as well.
So let's shift gears here and get back into the book a little bit. Now, while we were off air here, we chatted a little bit about December 21st, and I kind of expressed how I experienced it, the energy that I sensed prior to the 21st, and then a tremendous calm on the day of the 21st. and it was very remarkable for me the way I experienced it. And what struck my consciousness at that time was thinking about all the people on this planet who were disappointed that disappointed or relieved or whatever that it happened to be, that either A, the planet didn't blow up, B, Jesus didn't come and pick up everybody and make everybody vanish in a twinkling of an eye. The aliens didn't drop down in their ships and pick everybody up. All these different scenarios that were being played out, or being projected out, more accurately, of escape from planet Earth. And now they woke up on the 21st and they were still here. How did you experience that? And I think you said that you actually kind of addressed a little bit of this in this new book.
I did. Well, you asked me earlier when we were offline, did I ever ask about future events? And I responded, no, I don't. But I actually did ask about a future event, and that was about December 21st, 2012, because if we really were going to transition, disappear, whatever, then I wanted to cash in my 401k and enjoy myself for a couple of years instead of continuing to save. And the guides told me, absolutely, don't cash in your 401k, Sherri, because you will still be here on December 22nd. So, there was a lot leading up to it. In my second book, there was, a lot about raising our vibrations, which is a very important thing, but doesn't necessarily have anything to do with December 21st. To me, December 21st was the culmination of an ongoing change in consciousness, in our consciousness level, and in the evolution of the human species. I think it was just like one of those points that you just mark, that everything that we've done has led up to this point, and here we are now. I know that many people were upset because they didn't transition, and I remember having tea with a friend of mine who just sat there and told me that all she wanted to do was transition. And her best friend, who lived in another country, all she wanted to do was transition. And the two of them didn't want to do anything anymore except to sit and wait to transition. And I thought that was the saddest and the worst thing that I had ever heard. And I started talking to my guides about it, and I decided that this was, and I heard it from a lot of other people too who are sending me emails and things, and I decided that it was an affliction, and I named it the rapture bug, because people were just thinking that they were going to disappear from the planet and be on 5D Earth. Well, the time came and went. Most of us are still here. And I know that I wondered why we haven't transitioned. And so I sat down and said, what the heck, you guys? You talked about this in the other book, and yet here we are. So explain to us what happened here, because my readers are going to want to know, and I certainly want to know. And so do you want me to tell you what they said?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, they said that in time that we would cease our incarnation on third dimensional Earth, but it will be in a way that would bring closure to the life that we've lived and to those that are in our lives, that we would not simply disappear, because if hundreds of thousands or even 1 million people just disappeared from the face of 3D Earth, that would undo a lot of planning and things that have already been set in motion for people to learn their lessons or have experiences that they want to have. Now, they did say that there were people who did transition, but they transitioned in a different way than what we were expecting to happen. Have you ever heard of the term walk-in?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So what they said was that, yes, some light workers, many light workers, have left their bodies, and that their bodies are now being utilized by walk-ins, because we have raised our vibrational level, both of our planet and for ourselves individually, to the point where many, many more walk-ins could come in now than ever have been able to before. I mean, we know that we've had walk-ins for a long, long time, but now we were able to host many more. So almost like you have, that indigo wave of children and the crystal wave of children and the rainbow wave of children. Now it almost seems to me like we have a wave of walk-ins. And I interviewed a couple of walk-ins for the book, just to get a little bit of their take on it. And, they're highly developed souls, but then aren't we all? We're all highly developed souls because we all come from the same place. We all emanate from the source, the creator, God, whatever you want to call it, right? But they are not having to go through childhood. They're not having to deal with baggage of karma, that kind of thing. They're coming in with specific missions, things that they want to accomplish, and that's going to help take us quicker to the next level of our evolution, whatever that might be. So I know that folks are disappointed about not closing their eyes and waking up on 5D Earth, but you know what? This is our planet, and we need to take care of this planet. So living in the here and now, concentrating, focusing on the here and now, that's really what I think our highest and best mission is right now.
It's being truly grounded. Yeah.
You can still be of the light, but we are on 3D Earth. We're not on 5D Earth, right? We're still here. We're not walk-ins as far as you and I know. And we have this planet to take care of. So we've come here to do certain things. We've come here, maybe some of us have come here to take care of some karmic debt. Others have come here to have different experiences for the growth of our soul. And for some of us, or for most of us, probably it's a combination of those things. But if we spend all of our time moaning and groaning about not being on 5D Earth or wishing we were on 5D Earth, then how are we getting done the very things that we incarnated here to do?
Right. It definitely takes action.
Yeah, it takes action on our part. We cannot while away our days and nights, wishing for a better dimension. It just doesn't make any sense. We've got to take care of the business of why we came here in the first place, and also to help our planet and the human race move forward.
Well, they say the journey is worth twice as much as the destination, right?
Absolutely. Because, listen, we're all aspects of the source, so we already are all knowing in a manner of speaking, but we're choosing to have these experiences. We don't really know exactly why, because we're kind of asleep when we're on this side of the veil, but we're very awake when we're planning our incarnation. So whatever windows of opportunity we've created for ourselves, there's a reason for it, there's a purpose for it, and we need to spend our time on that kind of thing. And not trashing our planet just because we think we're going to go to 5D Earth.
Right.
Oh, you got me on a roll now, Tom.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I hate to stop that roll, but we are at the top of the hour. And,
we are?
Yeah, and Sherri, I'd like to give you an opportunity to share where people can pick up your book, upcoming events, or anything going on that you'd like to share with our listeners.
Actually, I do have some big news. Spiritual Toolbox is coming out in July. That's when it's going to be released. But I've put together a very special pre-publication promotion. And if you order the book now on my website, it's 25% off, so $12.75 instead of $17. Plus, you get $60 worth of free gifts, which includes a spiritual growth workshop PDF from me, and MP3 downloads, sleep meditation to support peaceful sleep from author Carrie Nola, and much, much more. And that whole package can be found on my website, www.sherricortland.com.
That's Sherri with an I, by the way. And I want to thank everybody for listening to this first segment with Sherri Cortland in the 100th Monkey Radio. And if you are not a member, I would urge you to click that join button and have access to all that second hour content. Love you guys, and we'll see you in the second hour. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
I love you denies the pain you carry.
And told us to be the change.
And we'll see you in the
what you
second.
see in the world. Freedom's calling, I feel the fire that's deep inside us. Everybody wants change, but tell me who will guide us. To the leaders that pass away, put up your lighters. It's a beautiful struggle, but it cannot divide us. We're the ones that we've always been waiting for. See yourself in the mirror and open up the door. Walk through it and feel the love throughout your pores. Be the light, life's purpose is to feel joy. Metaphysical, lyrical, standing up for truth. The only one to make change is walking in your shoes. Be the example, don't complain about the news. Making music and serving the world with the loot. Now you can be the same, or you can be the change. Find strength from inside, break through the chains. No one to blame, nothing to prove. You create your reality, it's up to you. Be the change
that you wanna see in the world. Like Gandhi, live for peace.
Aspire to be
someone who fights for the beliefs. Like Martin Luther King.
Aspire to be
that love,
that light,
like Christ,
life
for the moment indeed.
And if you believe
in Jehovah,
Allah,
Buddha,
Krishna,
it's love to me.
My soul yearns for peace in a world that's flooded with war. History's littered with body scar, trying to settle the score to maintain an archaic platform of power and greed. People fight for land out of survival and need. So I'm killing my television and I'm planting a seed to fill my head with knowledge that I'm seeing recede. Due to the media propaganda killing my creed. Know what don't kill me make me stronger, feeling straight when I bleed. Fight for interest and forwards attached to feet. They try to say you anything in this world, nothing for free. Land, air, fire, and water, they keep up in the ante while the anti-proletariat told the powers that be. But we keep fighting, surviving and thriving, recycling and rhyming. We constantly inclining, we see through the lying and prying. They tactically keep trying to keep you from asking the why.
Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Like Gandhi, live for peace.
Aspire to be
someone who fights for the beliefs. Like Martin Luther King.
Aspire to be
that love,
that light,
like Christ,
life
for the moment indeed.
And if you believe
in Jehovah,
Allah,
Buddha,
Krishna,
it's love to me.
We find solutions, different possibilities, creating organizations like Aspire to Be, inspiring young minds to see, building life skills, nurturing creativity, fulfilling the youth's basic needs, listening actively, teaching the tools to succeed, positive role models, we plant the seed, the roots drink the water which feed the trees, someone help me, giving back is my responsibility.
Be the change that you wanna see in the world. Like Gandhi, live for peace.
Aspire to be
someone who fights for the belief.